Welcome to Miss Scarlett. Subscribe and don't miss out on Patreon. Have fun! In the dim glow of the monitor, Dorian's excited expression was faintly visible. The approaching weekend promised freedom and opportunities for expression. His trembling hand, eager but hesitant, loitered above the keyboard, reaching the climax of his weeks-long browsing spree. Scrolling through his basket, he reviewed the items one last time. First, a matte black skirt, then its partner, a snow-white blouse, and finally, a delicate pair of low heels for a subtle touch. These items might seem like a basic ensemble to some. For Dorian, they held a profound meaning, embodying an aspect of his identity he had suppressed, even from himself. But in the quiet solitude of his home, away from judgmental eyes, he could no longer deny the persistent whisper of his true self. The days crawled by as Dorian anxiously awaited the package's arrival. When the doorbell finally chimed, he nearly tripped over his own feet in his haste to answer. Heart pounding, he signed for the nondescript brown box and quickly retreated inside. Fingers trembling slightly, Dorian carefully opened the package. He lifted out each item reverently, the silky fabric of the blouse, the swish of the skirt, the glossy shine of the heels. For a long moment, he simply stared at the clothes laid out on his bed, both thrilled and terrified by what they represented. Taking a deep breath, Dorian began to change. He slipped the white blouse over his head, relishing the cool slide of fabric against his skin. The black skirt zipped up smoothly, falling to just above his knees. Finally, he stepped into the low heels, wobbling slightly as he adjusted to the new height and balance. Slowly, hesitantly, Dorian turned to face the full-length mirror on his closet door. His breath caught in his throat. The person staring back at him was different, softer, more graceful, more herself. For the first time, Dorian truly saw Lola. Lola gazed at her reflection, drinking in every detail. The way the blouse draped elegantly over her frame, how the skirt swished with each small movement, the slight arch of her foot in the heels. But it was her face that captivated her most, the same features she'd always known, yet somehow transformed. There was a light in her eyes, a glow to her cheeks that she'd never seen before. Tentatively, Lola reached up to touch her auburn hair. It fell just past her shoulders in gentle waves, longer than Dorian typically wore it, but perfect for Lola. She ran her fingers through the soft strands, marveling at how such a simple act could feel so right. An idea began to form in Lola's mind. She needed, to document this moment, to capture this feeling of rightness, of finally being herself. With slightly unsteady steps, she made her way to her desk and opened her laptop. A blank screen stared back at her. Lola's fingers hovered over the keys, unsure where to begin. How could she possibly put into words the profound sense of coming home to herself? After a moment's hesitation, she simply started typing. Today, I met myself for the first time. The words flowed easily after that, pouring out of Lola as if they'd been waiting years to be expressed. She wrote about the anticipation, the fear, the exhilaration of this first experience, about seeing her true self in the mirror and feeling a sense of wholeness she'd never known before. As she typed, Lola realized this wasn't just for her. There must be others out there, struggling with the same feelings, the same fears. Perhaps by sharing her journey, she could offer them hope and encouragement. With that in mind, she decided to turn her writing into a blog. A Butterfly Emerges, she titled it, thinking of her own transformation. Over the next few weeks, Lola's blog became her lifeline. Each evening, she would eagerly change into her feminine attire, relishing the feeling of becoming her true self. Then she would sit at her computer, sharing her experiences and thoughts with a growing audience of supportive readers. She wrote about the challenges of learning to walk in heels. "I now have a newfound respect for anyone who can run in these things." She described the joy of experimenting with makeup, turning her face into a canvas of self-expression. She even ventured into discussing the emotional aspects of her journey, the fears, the doubts, but also the overwhelming sense of rightness. As her confidence grew, so did her wardrobe. A flowing sundress in a cheerful floral print joined her collection, perfect for twirling in front of the mirror. A pair of skinny jeans hugged her curves in a way that made her feel both comfortable and sexy. A cozy, oversized sweater became her go-to for relaxed evenings at home. But it wasn't just about the clothes. Lola found herself changing in other ways, too. Her movements became more graceful, her voice softer. She took greater care with her appearance, enjoying the ritual of styling her auburn hair and applying subtle makeup. It wasn't about conforming to societal expectations of femininity. It was about expressing her authentic self. One evening, as Lola sat at her computer in her favorite white blouse and black skirt, she received a comment on her blog that brought tears to her eyes. "Thank you for sharing your journey. Your words have given me the courage to start my own. For the first time in my life, I feel like I'm not alone." Lola's heart swelled with emotion. She had started this blog as a way to process her own feelings, never imagining the impact it might have on others. Now she realized she had stumbled into a community, a family of individuals all searching for their true selves. Inspired by this connection, Lola decided to take a bold step. She had been living as Lola only within the confines of her apartment, but it was time to spread her wings. With trembling hands, she booked an appointment at a local LGBTQ-friendly salon. The day of the appointment arrived, and Lola stood in front of her closet, paralyzed with indecision. This would be her first time venturing out as her true self. What should she wear? After much deliberation, she settled on a simple black dress that fell just above her knees, paired with her trusty low heels. She took extra care with her makeup, wanting to look her best for this momentous occasion. As she stepped out of her apartment building, Lola felt as if every eye was on her. Her heart raced, and she fought the urge to turn back. But she took a deep breath, remembering all the supportive comments from her blog readers. She wasn't just doing this for herself anymore. She was doing it for all of them too. The walk to the salon was both terrifying and exhilarating. Lola kept her head high, trying to project a confidence she didn't entirely feel. To her surprise, most people barely gave her a second glance. Those who did often offered a smile or a friendly nod. At the salon, Lola was greeted warmly by a stylist with vibrant blue hair. "What are we doing today, honey?" she asked, running her fingers through Lola's auburn locks. Lola hesitated for a moment before finding her voice. "I'd like to embrace my femininity," she said softly. "Maybe some layers, and could you teach me how to style it?" The stylist's face lit up. "Absolutely. We're going to make you feel beautiful, inside and out." For the next hour, Lola relaxed into the pampering experience. The stylist chatted easily with her, offering tips and tricks for hair care and styling. As the auburn strands fell around her, Lola felt as if she was shedding the last vestiges of her old self. When the stylist spun her chair to face the mirror, Lola gasped. Her hair now fell in soft, face-framing layers that accentuated her features beautifully. It was still recognizably her, but more her.
"What do you think?"
the stylist asked, beaming with pride. Lola's eyes welled up with happy tears. "It's perfect," she whispered. "Thank you." That evening, Lola rushed home to update her blog. Her fingers flew across the keyboard as she recounted every detail of her day, from the nerves of stepping outside to the triumph of her salon visit. She included a photo of her new hairstyle, feeling a thrill of excitement as she clicked post. The response was overwhelming. Comments poured in, full of praise and encouragement. Many readers shared their own stories of first outings, creating a tapestry of shared experiences. Lola felt buoyed by the support, more certain than ever that she was on the right path. Emboldened by her successful outing, Lola began to venture out more frequently. She started small, a quick trip to the corner store, a walk in the park. Each time she grew more comfortable in her own skin. One sunny afternoon, Lola decided to treat herself to lunch at a charming little cafe she'd always admired from afar. Dressed in a flowing floral sundress and her favorite low heels, she felt pretty and confident as she stepped into the bustling eatery. As she perused the menu, Lola became aware of someone approaching her table. She looked up to see a woman about her age, with a warm smile and kind eyes. "I'm sorry to bother you," the woman said, "but I just had to tell you how much I love your dress. You look absolutely radiant." Lola felt a blush creep up her cheeks. "Thank you," she replied, her voice soft but steady. "That's so kind of you to say." The woman hesitated for a moment before asking, "Would you like some company? I'm meeting a friend here, but she just texted to say she's running late." Lola's heart raced. This was unexpected, but why not? She gestured to the empty chair across from her. "I'd love some company," she said with a smile. The woman introduced herself as Emily, and soon they were chatting easily about everything from fashion to their favorite books. Lola found herself relaxing, enjoying the simple pleasure of a friendly conversation. When Emily's friend arrived, Lola expected the interaction to end, but to her surprise, Emily invited her to join them. "The more, the merrier," she said with a laugh. For the next hour, Lola found herself part of a lively discussion, contributing her thoughts and opinions without fear or hesitation. It was a revelation. She could just be herself, and people responded positively. As they were saying their goodbyes, Emily pulled out her phone. "We should exchange numbers," she said. "Maybe we could get coffee sometime?" Lola felt a warmth spread through her chest. She had just made her first friend as her true self. "I'd love that," she replied, inputting her number into Emily's phone. That evening, as Lola sat down to update her blog, she felt a profound sense of gratitude. She had come so far from that first tentative day of trying on a skirt and blouse. Now she was out in the world, making friends, living authentically. She titled her post, "Blossoming Friendships," and began to type. "Today I experienced something I never thought possible, the joy of simply being myself in public and connecting with others. It wasn't about passing or conforming to expectations. It was about being authentic, being open, and allowing myself to form genuine connections." As the weeks passed, Lola's confidence continued to grow. Her blog gained more followers, and she found herself becoming something of a mentor to others, just starting their journeys. She received messages daily from readers, thanking her for her honesty and inspiration. One particular message stood out. It was from a young person struggling with their identity, feeling lost and alone. They wrote about how Lola's blog had given them hope, but they were still terrified to take the first step. Lola felt a deep connection to this reader. She remembered all too well the fear and uncertainty of those early days. After careful consideration, she decided to organize a small meetup for local readers of her blog. The idea both excited and terrified her. It was one thing to write about her experiences online, but to meet people face to face? To be a visible representation of the journey she'd been documenting? It was daunting, to say the least. But Lola knew it was important. She had found so much strength in community, even if it had primarily been online. Now she had the opportunity to create that sense of belonging in the real world. She chose a quiet cafe for the meetup, the same one where she'd had lunch with Emily. It felt like a safe, welcoming space. In her blog post announcing the event, she emphasized that it was open to anyone on their journey of self-discovery, whether they were out publicly or not. The day of the meetup arrived, and Lola spent extra time getting ready. She chose a comfortable yet stylish outfit, her favorite white blouse paired with a new black pencil skirt, and, of course, her trusty low heels. She styled her auburn hair in soft waves, applied natural-looking makeup, and took a deep breath. "You can do this," she told her reflection. "You're not alone anymore, and neither are they." Lola arrived at the cafe early, securing a large table in a quiet corner. Her hands shook slightly as she arranged some printouts she'd made, resources for support groups, recommended reading, and tips for self-care. The first to arrive was a nervous-looking person who Lola immediately recognized as the young reader who had inspired this meetup. They were dressed androgynously, clearly not yet comfortable presenting as their true gender in public. "Are you Lola?" they asked, hesitantly. Lola stood, offering a warm smile. "I am, and you must be Taylor. I'm so glad you could make it." Taylor's shoulders relaxed visibly at Lola's welcoming tone. "Thank you for doing this," they said softly. I wasn't sure I'd have the courage to come." "But you did," Lola said firmly. "And that's a huge step. I'm proud of you." Over the next half hour, more people trickled in. Some were clearly comfortable in their identities, while others seemed as nervous as Taylor. Lola made sure to greet each person individually, doing her best to put them at ease. Once everyone had arrived and settled in with their drinks, Lola took a deep breath and addressed the group. "Thank you all for coming," she began. "I know how much courage it takes to show up to something like this. When I started my blog, I never imagined I'd be sitting here with all of you, but I'm so grateful for this community we're building." She paused, looking around at the faces turned toward her. Some eager, some apprehensive, all attentive. "I want this to be a safe space for all of us to share our experiences, our fears, our triumphs. We're all at different points in our journeys, but we're united by our desire to live authentically. So, if you're comfortable, I'd love for each of us to introduce ourselves and share a bit about why we're here." Lola went first, briefly recounting her own journey from those first tentative steps in her apartment to where she was now. As she spoke, she saw heads nodding in recognition, eyes lighting up with understanding. One by one, others began to share. There was Michael, who had only recently admitted to himself that he might be transgender. Sophia, who had been living as a woman for years, but still struggled with internalized transphobia. Alex, who was non-binary and trying to navigate a world that often only saw gender in binary terms. And Taylor, who with a shaky voice shared their story of feeling trapped between who they were expected to be and who they knew they truly were. As the stories flowed, so did the tears of relief, of recognition, of finally feeling understood. Lola felt a lump in her own throat as she witnessed the connections forming, the invisible threads of shared experience binding them all together. The planned 2-hour meetup stretched to 4 as people continued to talk, share resources, and exchange contact information. When they finally began to disperse, there was a palpable sense of reluctance to leave this newfound safe haven. Lola was one of the last to leave, taking time to speak individually with those who lingered. As she gathered her things, she felt a tap on her shoulder. It was Taylor. "I just wanted to say thank you again," they said, eyes shining. "I've never felt so seen before, or so hopeful." Lola felt her own eyes welling up. "Oh, Taylor," she said softly, pulling them into a gentle hug. "Thank you for being brave enough to come. Remember, you're not alone in this journey. We're all here for each other." As Lola walked home that evening, her heart felt full to bursting. The sun was setting, casting a warm glow over the city streets. She tilted her face up to catch the last rays, reveling in the feeling of being truly, completely herself. She thought about how far she'd come from that first weekend alone in her apartment, from tentative steps in heels to organizing a supportive community, from hiding her true self to embracing it fully. Lola knew there would still be challenges ahead. The world wasn't always kind to those who dared to be different, but she also knew she had the strength to face whatever came her way. And more importantly, she had a community to lean on. As she unlocked her apartment door, Lola was already composing her next blog post in her head. She couldn't wait to share this experience with her online readers, to spread the message of hope and connection even further. Settling at her computer, fingers flying across the keyboard, Lola began to type. "Dear friends, today I witnessed the power of community in action. I looked into the eyes of people who, like me, have struggled with their identity, who have felt alone, misunderstood, afraid, and I saw those same eyes light up with recognition, with hope, with the joy of finally belonging. We are not alone on this journey. We are a tapestry of unique experiences, woven together by our shared desire to live authentically. Whether you're taking your first tentative steps or you've been walking this path for years, know that there is a place for you. There are people who understand, who will support you, who will celebrate your truth. To those still hiding in the shadows, afraid to take that first step, I see you, I was you, and I promise you, there is light and love waiting for you when you're ready to emerge. To those already living their truth boldly, thank you for paving the way. Your courage inspires others to find their own, and to everyone in between, your journey is valid. Your feelings are valid. You are valid. We are all butterflies in various stages of transformation. Some of us are still in our cocoons, gathering strength for the emergence. Others are flexing new wings, preparing for first flights. And some are soaring high, showing the world the beauty of authenticity. Wherever you are in your journey, remember, you are not alone. You are loved. You are beautiful. Keep spreading your wings, my friends. The sky is waiting. Lola sat back, reading over her words with a sense of pride and purpose. She knew that somewhere out there, someone like her past self might read this and find the courage to take their first step. Someone might feel a little less alone, a little more hopeful. As she clicked post, Lola felt a sense of completion, not of her journey, that would be ongoing, always evolving, but of a chapter. She had found herself, found her voice, found her community, and in doing so, she had become a beacon for others. Lola stood, smoothing down her skirt and running a hand through her auburn hair. She caught her reflection in the mirror and smiled at the woman looking back at her. Strong, confident, authentic. This was just the beginning. There would be more blog posts, more meetups, more opportunities to support and be supported. There would be challenges, certainly, but also joys she couldn't yet imagine. But for now, in this moment, Lola was content. She was home. Home in her body, home in her identity, home in the community she was helping to build. As the evening settled around her, Lola felt a deep sense of peace. She had embarked on this journey seeking her true self, and along the way, she had found so much more. She had found purpose, connection, and a way to make the world a little bit brighter for others like her. Lola turned off her computer and got ready for bed, her mind already buzzing with ideas for future blog posts and meetups. As she drifted off to sleep, a smile played on her lips. Tomorrow was a new day, full of possibilities, and she couldn't wait to see what it would bring.
Thanks for watching, my girlies. Be sure to check out Patreon for more.